guys, I'm Lydia and welcome to Live with Lydia, where on this show I invite different subject matter experts to tackle non-conventional topics outside of the classroom. But before we begin, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to our channel and to click on our notification bell to get updates on our latest episodes. This show has been brought to you by Quorse, one of the largest training search engines in the market. In today's episode, Thinking Happy, I definitely recommend for you to stay to the end as we'll be providing an assessment for you to find out how positive or negative your mindset is based on your own personal choices. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our special guest for today, who is a certified trainer, author, and specializes in NLP, communication, stress management, and the matters of the mind. Let me introduce trainer Dr. Alvin. Hi, Dr. Alvin. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, Lydia.
All right. So I think the first thing we want to talk about is thinking happy. So why positivity is different for everyone. So we always see and hear statements about being positive and how we can achieve a positive mindset. We hear this from our friends, maybe family, and even at work that, it's always good to have a positive mindset. And whenever we talk or say anything negative, we always get rebutted. People will say, oh, you shouldn't think that way. You should have a more positive view on things. So for example, there are some people out there that identify their negative thoughts as being cautious or being realistic, and they don't actually see how it comes across as being negative. So, for example, let's say your grandmother always asks you, do you make sure that you lock the door? Be careful when you go out there. So sometimes people actually say this is actually a negative trait, whereas they feel that, no, I'm actually being very being careful, being realistic, So how can a person identify their thoughts as being negative?
That's a very good question, Lydia.
Thank you.
Actually, thoughts that are negative, not necessarily are bad thoughts. It's not like positive thoughts are good, negative thoughts are bad. Negative thoughts evolved in our human psyche actually to protect us in many ways. For example, don't talk to strangers. Actually, it's to protect kids and children from danger. And when we were in our caveman history, when we see a tiger coming, we don't say, oh, cute cat, let's go and hug it. We say, wow, that's a dangerous animal, run. So it's actually to protect us. Negative thoughts are there to protect us. Well, since this is the year of the tiger, let me share with you a story of a man who adopted a baby tiger. He took care of a tiger. He let it grow up in his house so that it can guard his house, like something like a guard dog. Well, if the tiger, the big, ferocious, strong and aggressive tiger, can protect his house against robbers, against break-ins, against attackers, that is a very good tiger, although it is ferocious and it is very fierce. But if it is so ferocious and fierce that it attacks its owner itself, then that is a bad tiger. So negative thoughts can be equated to the tiger itself. Right? The tiger is ferocious. Is it good or bad? It depends. If it fights against the robbers, it's good. But if it attacks the owner itself, it's bad. Same thing, negative thoughts are there to either protect you, or if it is too negative, it will attack you. I give you an example. I'm not good enough. That's negative. But is it bad or good? Let us see what follows up from there. I'm not good enough, so I need to improve myself. It is actually protecting you from failure. It wants to improve your life. It wants to make your life better. So it is a good tiger. But if your negative thoughts are in this way, I'm not good enough, so I'm a failure, then the negative thought is like just the tiger attacking its owner. It's attacking you. It's making you feel bad. It's making you feel like giving up. It's a bad thought. Although negative can be positive or negative. I give you another example. Life is hard. That's negative. But a lot of us force ourselves to say, life is good, life is good, life is good, although life in reality is hard. But that negative thought, life is hard, is it good or bad? It depends. If it is there to protect you. Life is hard, but there are many opportunities if I look deeper, wider, and further. Then it's like the tiger protecting the owner, making you improve yourself in a very harsh world. But if the tiger attacks the owner, it's like your negative thought. Life is hard. Just give up. Why try? So it is a negative thought that is bad. I give you one more example. People can be nasty. That is negative. compared to, oh, everyone is nice, everyone is good. That is like a fairy tale. So reality is people are nasty. There are people who are nasty, or people can be nasty. That is a negative thought.
Right.
But is it good or bad? Good means people can be nasty. It's just human nature. We just have to accept it and understand people. If the thought is followed by a sentence like that, then it is there to protect us from unreasonable expectations. It is there to protect us from feeling frustrated with people's behavior. It is good. It protects our emotions. But if your negative thought is a bad negative thought, it will be followed by something like this. People can be nasty, and it's your fault if people treat you nasty. It's your own fault. Then we feel bad about ourselves. We feel that, oh, everything is my fault. Then we feel depressed. Then that is the negative thought. That is bad, right? So your negative thought is like a tiger. It is ferocious. It can be good or bad. It can protect you or it can attack you.
Wow. Perfect for this year. It's basically how we tame our tigers, right? So, Dr. Alvin, there are also people who think being positive is actually being like a PR stunt, especially people who are straightforward. Straightforward people have this tendency to be direct in their words and in the way they speak. So, the idea of them having to sugarcoat what they want to say with positive keywords, like basically doing a PR stunt. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, when we deal with humans, of course, we need to have public relations or people relations. It's important to have positive words so that we gel our relationship, we build bridges. But if you take it too many steps further, or if you add in too many positive words, and if you're afraid of being negative, and if you're afraid of telling the truth, then that's not an authentic way of living. For example, right. I can tell you the truth without hurting you, or I can tell you the truth and hurt you. A lot of people equate telling the truth means the truth hurts. Have you heard the phrase, the truth hurts? Yeah. It doesn't have to hurt. For example, if your work performance is not very good, if your work performance has gone down, you haven't hit your targets, and maybe your attendance is lousy, being excessively positive, being falsely positive, being too positive, it's like, I cannot tell you that your performance is bad. I can only tell you your performance is good. You are doing a good job. It's not being truthful. It's not being authentic. The person who is listening to it will not know his or her weaknesses and shortcomings, and he or she will not be able to improve him or herself. And it's not doing your best for that person. That person will just continue in his or her mistakes. So being excessively or falsely positive, it's not the way. But then when we want to tell the truth that the person's performance is no good, we have two choices. One is being blunt, another is being frank. Being blunt is, I just tell you the truth. I don't care how you feel. Your work is lousy. You need to improve. That is being blunt. It's like, I just want to tell it to you. I don't care how you feel. That is what people will think that is what people will think the truth should be. It hurts. It need not be that way. Forget about being blunt. Be frank. Be frank in the sense that you can tell the truth. You don't have to sugarcoat it, but you tell it in such a way that it is easy for the person to accept. It is easy for the person to digest, and it is easy for the person to work on. For example, if the person's work is, his performance is not so good, his standard is not so good, I can tell him the truth by saying, well, your performance is not up to the standard that I see that you can achieve. I'm sure you can improve on it. What would you think would be the best thing that you can do to make your performance even better than what it is now? That is actually telling the person, I respect you. I acknowledge that you're trying your best. I believe that you can do even better. That is the message that we are putting through. In other words, I need to tell you the truth, but I also will take care of your feelings. It's just about the truth being from both sides of your brain, your left brain, which is just giving you the facts, and the right side of the brain, which is taking care of your feelings. Facts and feelings must go together. I cannot just take care of your feelings, just tell you everything that is nice, but not give you the facts. And I cannot just tell you the facts from my left brain, but not take care of your feelings. These two must go together, facts and feelings. Then the truth becomes palatable, becomes acceptable, becomes workable.
Right, because at the end of the day, when we give feedback, we want it to get across to the other person. So I think if it comes across too harsh as well, the person might kind of shut off even while they're listening halfway, right?
Yes.
Right. So here comes the part where we look at how positivity is different for everyone. So some people look at their mindset as part of their personality. And yes, at times it can come across that way, which is why the idea of changing it may seem impossible, or that there is this thought that, they need to be something that they are not. So with that said, right, how can a person view both of them separately so that they can also give a chance to themselves to change the way they view obstacles or troubles in their life? So, Dr. Alvin, how would you advise the viewers to separate the two to achieve a positive mindset from this new perspective?
Thanks, Lydia. That's a very good question. Now, when we say positive mindset and personality, we tend to look at our personality based on the roles that we play. I am a leader, so my personality should be confident, should be always positive. I am a parent, so I should be always caring. I should be self-sacrificing. I am an engineer. I am a surgeon. I am an accountant. I am a lawyer. I am a doctor. I'm a preacher. I am a trainer. So I need to be positive for my patients. I need to be positive for my congregants. I need to be positive for my participants. I am not allowed to feel negative. So I have to have a positive mindset. That is a very, very what you call it, poignant, or we call that a very, very persistent perspective that society tends to hold on to. You are a leader, you're not allowed to feel worried. You are a parent, you're not allowed to feel stressed. You are a motivational speaker, you're not allowed to feel demotivated. Speaking of that, I can tell you. I am a motivational speaker. I'm a trainer. I conduct sessions and I motivate people. And do you know that when I speak with friends after my seminars and during the weekends when I hang out with my friends, sometimes I just tell them, wow, I tell you, the previous week was so stressful. Wow, I'm so worried about this and that. As a person, I can express myself, but sometimes friends who are well-meaning, they will just shut you up and say, you are a motivator. How can you feel demotivated? Hey, you are a speaker. You're supposed to inspire people. How can you feel
Right.
worried? It's like, hello, I'm also human. Behind the mask of a leader, behind the mask of a parent, behind the mask of a trainer or surgeon or a preacher, we are still humans. We need to give ourselves a chance to feel down. We need to give ourselves a chance to feel worried, right? Worried all you want, but give yourself a duration. For example, I'm a leader. Okay, I allow myself to feel worried, but only for 2 hours. After that, I'll work on the solution. Yes, you are allowed to feel negative. Negativity is there. You see, toxic positivity means you have to feel positive all the time. But a balanced mindset is to acknowledge that life has positives and negatives. Feelings have positives and negatives. You just acknowledge that it exists for a leader, for a parent, for a preacher, for a trainer. I know some preachers, religious preachers who are very, very dynamic. But when you sit down and talk with them as a friend, they will tell you that they're feeling very lonely. They feel very lonely. Why? Because they have no one to share it with. They can't tell it to the members of their congregation and tell that, oh, I'm feeling doubt over this.
A lot of
I'm
high
feeling depressed.
expectations, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because for example, if I'm a religious leader or I'm a very spiritual preacher, and I tell it to someone who is following my podcast or who is following my sermons or my sessions, that I feeling worried about finances or things like that, it can dampen his spirit. It can kill his own enthusiasm. It can de-inspire or demotivate the person. So,
Right. Because they're like thinking, how come,
ah,
you as a motivational speaker can't stay happy all the time, then what chances do I have, right?
yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's the reason why if you are in a position of influence, sometimes we need to take away our mask and just be a fellow human being to someone. Share your negativity, and not dump it on them, but just share what is troubling you to someone you can trust who will not judge you. It keeps stress away, and it breaks the fallacy of toxic positivity that you have to be positive all the time.
Right. I love how you actually talked a bit about toxic positivity, because that's definitely something we want to address during this show as well. But before we go any further, right, Dr. Alvin, maybe you could share with the viewers what is the definition of toxic positivity?
Well, toxic positivity is the belief that no matter how bad or dire or difficult the situation is, people need to be positive all the time. For example, there are some groups of business people that they gather together to do a business or to launch a product or to work on a project. They have these rules that says good vibes only. In other words, when you come in, you cannot complain, you cannot share your problems, you can only say good things. You can only share good things. You cannot share your doubts with other people. You got problems to yourself, or you can only share with the leader himself. So when everybody comes to that meeting, everyone is yeah, 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 yeah. It's like, hello, who is the real person here? Can the real person please stand up? It's like only good vibes. It creates a very artificial kind of atmosphere. People expect you to be optimistic, to be happy all the time. It's actually a source of stress as well. Same thing. Positivity is just like water. We need to drink water to live, to be healthy. We need positive thoughts to live and to be healthy mentally. But if you drown yourself in water, you take like 300 cups of fresh water a day, you would die, ladies and gentlemen. Same thing. You try to bombard yourself with positive thoughts the whole day without allowing yourself express your negative emotions. It is drowning yourself with water. You will die emotionally, you will die mentally, you will end up being numb. You will just shut off your feelings and then just become like a zombie.
Right, that's really, really true. I think especially in an Asian community, we are always taught to, not express ourselves, to keep things in. If not, we will feel that we are not good enough to handle that role. For a very simple example, it could be even a parent, like you mentioned earlier. The idea that you need to be happy, you are like a leader in your family, right? You cannot show that you're tired, you're weak, and that's why a lot of certain generations, right, they deal with a lot of mental stress and mental problems, because there's no one they can turn to. And then there's also like this stigma where if I go and see a psychologist or psychiatrist or even a doctor, is like, oh my gosh, like what's wrong with you? So everything just is bottled inside. And when they do finally express it to maybe a close family member who probably means well, but because of the lack of sudden how I say showing of those emotions, the other person might be, oh, what's wrong with you? Why are you suddenly saying this? Or, oh, I always thought that my father was this very strong figure in my family. How come, how come he's upset? He's depressed. So, and I could say that also for a lot of men in society, they have a lot of pressure to uphold this, this strong, you know, this strong image for their family, or even leaders at work or managers, they have to hold this kind of reputation. So, talking about toxic positivity, right? There are quite a number of people who are trying to be positive, which is a good thing. And they tend to actually push away negativity, but not in such a good way, because they are on a journey towards a positive mindset. So, how can you advise people who are trying to avoid doing toxic positivity to others?
Right. If let's say you are trying to avoid toxic positivity, the danger is you may end up being too negative as well. The key here is if something stressful happens to you in your life, don't force yourself to see it as good. Toxic positivity is trying to force yourself to see something that is stressful as good. It's like, hello, I'm already feeling so stressed and I have to force myself to feel good about it. Don't dwell on how bad it is, right? For example, let's say you are rushing to work and then you find that your car tire is punctured. Toxic positivity is forcing yourself to see it as something good. Yay, my tire is punctured. Or if you tend to see it as bad, heck or darn, that is seeing it as bad. But why not seeing it as it is instead of seeing it as good? Yay, my tire is punctured. Seeing it as bad. Darn, my tire is punctured. See it as it is. My tire is punctured. Just say to yourself, acknowledge what is happening. My tire is punctured. Because if we see it as it is, then we don't have to expand or use too much energy trying to motivate ourselves to feel good about it, and we don't have to waste a lot of energy feeling bad about it. We use the energy to solve the situation.
Right. Yes.
My tire's punctured. What can I do about it? Right. In other words, to summarize this, if this situation about the tire get punctured or something stressful happens to you, avoid being too positive and do not dwell on being negative, but just being objective. So the key to toxic positivity, don't be too positive and don't dwell on being negative, is to be objective. So all the three tiff lah: positive, negative, objective. Right? So be objective, find the solutions, see it as it is.
Correct. Because I think when we are facing troubles at work or facing a situation that gives us the option of choosing a positive or negative mindset, I think at that time, if it's something that is quite big and difficult to deal with, it does seem more a positive way of looking at it is to actually focus on it objectively. Because sometimes when, like what you mentioned, if the tire is punctured, right, me being happy about it seems really fake to myself. You'd be like, oh, oh my goodness, I'm so happy I can finally change my tire. I mean, I think for some people who naturally do have that positive vibes, I mean, some people are just naturally happy and have that kind of mindset. I think as long as if you feel naturally positive about the situation is fine. But if you know that you have a pretty negative mindset, you, like what you mentioned, focus on the objective at hand, because that itself will actually distract you. And yes, it will take much less energy, because for a negative person to become positive does take quite a lot of energy. Okay, so what I would like to ask is that if, let's say, you are facing toxic positivity, right, how should you respond to this?
Sometimes people may force toxic positivity upon you. For example, something bad happens to you and they are trying to tell you, like, for example, cheer up, be happy about it, all things work out well in the end. All this is fine. It's good that people try to cheer us up. But toxic positivity emerges when they try to dump so much positivity on you without acknowledging the pain that you're going through. Well, people or loved ones or friends or colleagues or people around us do this to us for actually two reasons. Number one is they actually genuinely care for us. That's why they are trying to make us feel positive. They're trying to force us to feel positive in the midst of something that is very stressful. That is out of a heart that cares. The second reason why people do that is because our frustration, our anger, our sadness, our grief, our stress, our worriedness affect them. And because they see us worried, they themselves don't feel good. And because they want to feel good, they want to make us feel good. They want to cheer us up so that their cheerfulness is not affected by our frustration or our sadness. So that is the second intention. It's for their own happiness that they want to make us happy. Well, if you look at it, toxic positivity can come in four forms.
All right.
Example, if let's say you lost your job and now you are jobless and you have been jobless for maybe 2-3 months, and a friend comes to you and say, take it easy, actually this is good for you, what you're going through is good for you, it helps you to be humble, it helps you to be patient. To a certain degree, it's good advice, it helps to comfort us. But if every time they see us or we meet up with them for lunch or for teh tarik and they don't allow us to feel sad about ourselves, our situation, they don't allow us to vent in a healthy way, they just shut us up and just tell us whenever we say, oh, I'm feeling so stressed about my unemployment, they straight away cut us off and say, you should be happy about this, it's making you good, there's some good in it, it's making you patient, it's making you humble, blah, 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 blah. It's actually what we're spiritualizing away your pain. They're trying to find a higher meaning to what you're experiencing. To a certain degree, it's helpful, but if every time they do that to you without giving you a chance to express your pain, then that is like shutting you off. That is like killing off your emotions. It's like chaining you to your emotions and not allowing you to break free. So the first way that people unintentionally dump toxic positivity to us through spiritualizing away our pain, trying to add meaning to what we are feeling. Second one is trivializing your pain. For example, you're very tired. You're very tired after a stressful day at work. They will say something like this: "It's not that bad, lah. Actually, you're just too sensitive." In other words, they are trivializing your pain. They're saying your pain is not important. Your pain is actually not real pain. It does not acknowledge that everyone feels pain to different degrees towards different things. What you are feeling pain towards, or what makes you feel pain, may not cause pain to them. And because it doesn't cause pain to them, they think that you are actually not feeling pain. So they are trivializing your pain. They are making your pain as if it is nothing. So
Right.
trivializing your pain. Third one is minimizing your pain. You're feeling very stressful at work. They just compare it to someone else. They said, be grateful you still have your job. Why are you complaining? You're feeling tired, you're feeling stressful. But compared to those who don't have jobs, you should be grateful. It's like, hello, my pain is my pain. Don't compare it with someone else, right? I acknowledge that someone else is not having their jobs. I'm grateful for that, but I still feel pain, right? Don't dismiss my pain. So people who minimize your pain actually are actually doing what we call this toxic positivity. They're trying to make you feel positive without acknowledging your pain. They're comparing it to someone who is worse. In a
Right.
sense, it's good, but then if they continue doing that, they are making you feel that your pain is not real. And the fourth
Mm.
is guilt tripping. Guilt tripping means they add guilt to your pain. They add guilt to your pain. They are making you feel that you shouldn't be feeling this stress or this pain. And because you feel this pain, you should feel guilty about it. For example, they'll say something like this: you are a leader, you are a parent, you are a trainer. You shouldn't be feeling worried. You shouldn't be feeling demotivated. You shouldn't be feeling stressful. How come you, as a motivation speaker, you are feeling demotivated? You shouldn't be feeling that way. If you are a good leader, you shouldn't be feeling worried. If you are a good parent, you shouldn't be feeling stressed about taking care of your children. If you are a good motivator, if you are really a good motivator, you should be feeling positive all the time. So if I don't know that this is actually toxic positivity, I will be starting to feel guilty. Oh, that means I'm a bad person now for feeling this bad feeling, right? So that is how people make us feel bad when we already feel bad. They spiritualize it, they trivialize it, they minimize it, they guilt trip us when we feel
Right.
bad. The way I deal with these people are, if you really, really cannot tahan these people, you just say, since all this pain is so good, can I wish it upon you? Since it's so beneficial, all this pain, all this suffering is so good, right? If people are really doing that, if people are really guilt tripping you, or making you feel bad, just say it out to them, see how they feel. All right. But on a lighter note, if we want to deal with it, there are two things that we need to keep in mind. Number one is always remind yourself that you are a human being.
Mhm.
Before being a leader, before being a parent, before being a doctor or surgeon or a trainer, first and foremost, at the core of your being, you are a human being. So number one, you have every right to feel what you're feeling.
Mhm.
Number two is, your feeling is not you. You are not your feelings. If you're feeling depressed, let it go. If you're feeling stressed, let yourself feel stressed, but let it go. If you're feeling like you are a failure, allow yourself to feel that feeling, but it doesn't mean that you are a failure. Let it go. So remember the two steps. First is allow yourself to feel it. After feeling it, allow yourself to let it go.
I really like the second point you mentioned, because the part where you said that what we are feeling doesn't define us.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of truth in that, because there's people who, for example, think think quite negatively. And if they constantly, and then they would think, oh, because I am a negative person. So by just saying that I am a negative person, they start to put that upon themselves, and then they fall into it. We must allow ourselves to feel what we are, whatever we're feeling, we are entitled to that. And after that, we must learn to, let it pass on, let it go. And we always say that whenever there's problem, communication is key, right? So when you mentioned that there are two types of people who kind of do toxic positivity to us, one is, they don't realize it. And the other one is that they just kind of want you to stop being negative around them. I I mean, the first one is really good, because those people do mean well, but they come across as, being a bit toxic in that sense. So I think communication would be key. If let's say you have a good friend or even a family member that you talk to and you're noticing that, oh, this person tends to do this to me, when maybe I lost my job or I'm facing a really tough time, and they're like, oh, no, don't worry about it. We can actually just talk to them. We can say, hey, I'm really grateful that you listen to me and that you always trying to make me feel better, but I really need to have this time to actually share what I'm feeling, because it does help a lot when we can actually express ourselves and not keep it in. And talking about that, right? In the last 2 years, we have been going through so much, from the pandemic to the recent floods and retrenchment. It's just been one hell of a ride.
Yes.
So there are people out there who know that it's good to be positive, but sometimes at your lowest lows, especially last 2 years, if a person who has lost a loved one or even lost their home, right? The idea of being positive it's like, is it even gonna make a difference in my life? Right? I mean, it's easy when we talk about, oh, my boss, maybe he scolded me today, and I'll just take it more positively. But when we talk about really big situations, maybe you can share about how does it really make a difference, and is it worth putting that energy into having that mindset at one of the lowest points in your life?
It's true. I experienced it a few years ago, or rather many, many years ago. This time gets very confused nowadays.
Yes. The 2 years like felt like something it happened. It was like the longest and shortest years of our life.
Yes, exactly. Well, many, many years ago, I was with a colleague and we were at the lobby waiting for the lift to bring us to level 26 of a building, whereby we are having an appointment, a meeting on level 26 on the 26th floor. So we were at the lobby waiting for the lift, and the lift was taking a long time to arrive at the lobby. So we were getting impatient. We looked at our watches, and wow, we are going to be late for our appointment. And because we were two very motivated guys, we tried to motivate each other. We say, hey man, let's hang on there, stay positive, be patient. Patience is a virtue. We were like bombarding each other, playing badminton, positive phrase badminton. I throw you one, you throw me one, I throw you one, you throw me one. We were trying to pep talk each other and boost each other's morale while waiting for the lift that's taking so long. And after 3 to 4 minutes, a lady comes and looked at us and said, what are you two gentlemen doing? We said, we're actually waiting for the lift and it's taking a long time, and we don't know what's holding the lift for such a long time, and we're trying to motivate each other to stay positive and to stay patient while waiting for the lift. The lady just scratched her head and said, you guys didn't press the button, how would the lift come down? We actually forgot to press the button, that's why the lift didn't come down. So, ladies and gentlemen, it actually taught me a very good lesson. A very good lesson is like, you may want to pep talk yourself, use a lot of positive phrases, tell yourself positive things, but if you don't take action, nothing will change. So the key here is this: change our mindset from a positive mindset to a possibility mindset. I repeat, change our mindset from being a positive or a positivity mindset to a possibility mindset. Look at what is possible for you to do in a situation. In other words, you don't have to feel good all the time, but at any moment you can do something good to change the situation. You don't have to feel happy all the time, but at any moment you can make something happen for you to change your life, right? So the key word is this: feeling happy all the time, it's toxic positivity. But doing good for that particular moment is possibility thinking. Positive thinking is you have to feel happy all the time. But possibility thinking is you can make something happen at any moment. So do good versus feel good, and make something happen instead of having to feel happy all the time. So happen versus happy, do good versus feel good. That is the difference between positive thinking and possibility thinking.
I would definitely want to try that out, because I mean, with the idea of positive mindset, it's always that when we face something, how do we react to it at that point? Like, what do we think? But I think it's a good learning step, especially for those who are going towards a positive mindset, to, like what you mentioned, if it doesn't come naturally, just focus on what you need to do, right? So, viewers, for those of you who would like to know whether you have a positive or negative mindset, we have actually prepared a special assessment for you to take out. So, the link will be provided in the comments or description below. And Dr. Alvin, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this show to talk about positivity and about toxic positivity. Thank you, guys. And thank you once again, Dr. Alvin. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Looking for training? Want it fast and simple? At Quorse, you can find the best training available from dozens of training providers right at your fingertips. Just type in what you're looking for, and you will immediately see the list of courses that matches your search. Something still missing? No worries. We've got that figured out for you. Refine your search further by using our filters that look into your training budget or location and more. You can even organize a private class for your employees. View any course content of your choice, and check out the reviews from those who have attended. Like to know the trainer of the course you selected? No problem. Our trainer profiles come with a quick video introduction just for you. So whether you're from HR searching courses for your organization, or a business owner looking to learn at your own pace, there is definitely something for everyone. Web development, creative communication, leadership, and many more. Quorse is made ready for you anywhere, anytime. Browse for courses at work, or at your favorite hangout, or even by the beach. Experience it for yourself. Just search for us at Quorse.com.